the season, boy. It's my time of the year, man.
When last we left high school football, the Trinity Christian Conquerors were doing just that, conquering the final season before a huge shakeup across the entire state of Florida. More on that coming up in a bit. We got a little special edition of Action Sports Jax Primetime. We'll have your normal full complement of local coverage, Sharks, Shrimp, Armada, all in action. But we've also got a primer for your upcoming high school football season with fall practice 3 weeks away from officially starting. Spring practice and jamborees, well, they are now far in the rearview mirror. It's all about hitting the weight room in the summertime, working on your conditioning, and of course that newest summer craze, that would be 7-on-7 competition. Quarterbacks able to get some timing down with their top targets while still competing for a win at the same time. Point is, it is a year-round event at the high school level. So I certainly mentioned that we were in for some big changes this year. Well, let's go ahead and talk about some of those big changes in high school football. We now have a whole new system as far as classification is concerned. Basically what the state did was they took the 8 most populous counties in the entire state of Florida and put everybody into metro classifications. They took everybody else and put them in suburban. So let's talk about how that affects us here locally. You've got a few Miami counties, Orlando, Tampa, and Duval County among the 8 most populous counties in the state of Florida. So teams like Mandarin, Sandalwood, Fletcher, Andrew Jackson, Rains, Ribault, all the way down the line. Those are the public schools. The private schools, Trinity Christian, Providence, UC, Episcopal, all these schools are now in metro classifications, meaning once you get to the postseason and in district play, they're only going to play fellow teams from those 8 most populous counties. It certainly creates some interesting things like, for instance, Trinity Christian and University Christian, they are now both in the same district, along with NFEI, Providence, and Episcopal, while really you don't have as many of the bigger schools in Duval County. A lot of Class 2 with Bowles up there, as well as Rains and Ribault, will certainly be interesting. So all those other teams in our area, the ones, say, in St. John's, Clay, Nassau, everyone else in the entire area go to the suburban classifications, and we have some brand new districts to take a look at when that's concerned as well. Bartram Trail, Creekside, Fleming, Oakleaf, and Buchholz out in Gainesville, the larger schools, as well as Nice and Ponte Vedra playing Sewanee, those are in the highest classification of suburban. But all the way down the line, there's Baldwin, a little bit of an outlier. We'll get to that in just a second. But we also have the rural classification for some of the smaller schools in Florida. Fort White, Hilliard, Union County, all filling out that area. The point is, now these teams in St. Johns County, Clay County, they're not going to have to play the Miami teams in the postseason, the Orlando teams, or even the teams from up here in Duval County. Certainly a huge change from the way it used to be to the way it's going to be moving forward. And we'll see how it works. The jury's still out. We don't know if it's going to work, but it is curious. All right, let's see some notes from the realignment. You might have noticed I did mention one team from Duval County in the suburban classes. That would be Baldwin. The Indians petitioned to join the suburban class on account of their location and school size, and thankfully the FHSAA agreed because they don't really fit that idea of a metro team. One team in their district who will definitely benefit from this change, Baker County, definition of a suburban team that now will face teams its own size instead of Miami teams that they've had to run into in the playoffs in the past. And should be noted, none of this affects the Sunshine State Athletic Conference. This year, local teams Stanton, Paxton, and Interlochen all joining that quasi-independent league. Tough districts are nothing new in our area with all the talented football teams all over Northeast Florida. Let's bring in Action Sports Jax Marcel Robinson. He's got a look at some of the most competitive districts after this latest reclassification.
All right, so let's try this thing again, shall we? The FHSAA continues to try to fix a seemingly unfixable issue with the competition on the football field. Enter the suburban metro district realignments. This one will be an interesting one. The school's placement has been finalized and things are about to get very interesting. Let's start with the metro side. District 2M2 will put Bowles, Bishop Kenny, and Episcopal back in the same district. The private school pileup is joined by Wolfson. These reconstructed classifications bring back some very familiar rivalries in District 1M1. Trinity Christian and University Christian will reunite their rivalry. First time since the 2016-17 season. In 2M3, Riverside moves in with Ed White and Westside. They'll hope to keep their playoff streak alive against two teams that they've had a lot of success over the last few years. On the suburban side, the 4S3 district is going to be a dogfight. Bartram Trail, Creekside, Fleming Island, Oakleaf, and Gainesville-Buchholz. Good luck picking a winner in that one. In 2S5, Baldwin received an exemption to join the Nassau trio of Fernandina Beach, West Nassau, and Yulee. Oh, and by the way, the 2021 state semifinalist Baker County, they're in that bunch as well, so that one's certainly going to be a fun time. Of course, there will always be some hiccups and controversy when it comes to who's in and who's out of the playoffs. If we're being honest, there really isn't a perfect formula, but this new system should give us a little bump in some of these games. Not that the players needed any more motivation, but personally, I like a little chaos. In the studio, Marcel Robinson, Action Sports Jax.
Thank you, Marcel. Busy week for local commitments, including a couple more to the University of Florida. Surprise flip needs quarterback Marcus Stokes and Trinity running back Trayon Webb, a former Oklahoma pledge. They both say they want to go to Gainesville. Billy Napier making up some ground on that recruiting trail. Also added a 4-star receiver this week as well. Recruiting such a large part of the game. This is the time to lock it in for local recruits. Every offseason features turnover in the coaching ranks as well. In 2022, no different, with a number of schools making changes for the upcoming fall. For more on that, we bring in Action Sports Jax Olivia Tasley on the coaching carousel that has several local coaches with some new mascots this year.
Not a lot of downtime in the off season for coaches heading to a new home. Think about it, new school, new assistant coaches, new players. It's been a busy off season for many. So let's check some out. We'll start with former Mandarin head coach Bobby Ramsey. He leaves the Mustangs after 5 seasons and a state championship to become the leader of the Lions over at Impact Christian. That school is making the jump to 11-man football and using an experienced coach in Ramsey to do just that. Next, while Ramsey goes from a Mustang to a Big Cat, our next coach is going from a Big Cat to coaching the Stallions over at Providence. Former Jacksonville Jaguar offensive lineman Mo Williams is heading to Providence for a bit of a homecoming, so to say. He was an assistant coach from 2013 to 2017 after retiring from the NFL. Next, we'll head west to Raider Nation. Orange Park has hired Marcus Wimberly, the former Atlanta Falcon and Miami Hurricane. He takes over the Class 6A program. Wimberly may be new to our area, but coached for 15 years in Memphis, including a state title, leading his alma mater. Next, we go back to Duval County. We stop at North Florida Educational Institute to welcome in Rodney DeBose. The longtime head coach in the area has previously worked at St. John's Country Day, Orange Park, and most recently, Westside High School. And last but not least on the coaching carousel tonight is Steph Durham. He becomes the 11th head coach at Wolfson since 2006. Durham knows plenty about the Gateway Conference. Even at just 25 years old, his playing days at Atlantic Coast are not that long ago. So there will be some learning curves and growing pains ahead for these programs, but with an all-in goal of getting some wins under the Friday night lights. In the studio, I'm Olivia Tasley. Let's go back to you.
Thank you, Olivia. She is a great part of our team on those Friday nights. You can go follow her at Olivia A.S. Jax. She will certainly be a big part of our coverage this upcoming fall. Speaking of that coverage, oh boy, there it is. The Friday Night Blitz. It premieres on August 19th. That is the start of our high school football coverage. That is the preseason week. So we'll give you a good preview of the season to come. And then 1 week later, well, let's take a look at it as we go to the game of the week schedule, and here it is right here. All the games, all ready to go, all the excitement for the entire season. I can't wait. I know you can't wait as well at home, and we'll certainly do it. We've got all the games coming up. Let's go ahead and run down, and we'll go ahead and start with some of the big ones for you. And we'll start right off the top with number 1, Bradford and Baker County, a big rivalry game in Glen St. Mary. Going to be a whole lot of fun as those two rivals face off. And following week, we stay in that general area, West Nassau and Charlton County, a little battle of the border as Florida versus Georgia faces off in week number 2. All right, week 3, we go to the first Duval County matchup, Rains and Sandalwood. In week number 3, Two Gateway Powers who go head-to-head in that matchup, followed by Oakleaf at Fleming Island. So a clay battle the following week in week 4. Then Columbia at Trinity Christian, two of the big powerhouses in our area. Trinity, the only defending state champs. Then another good local rivalry, Fernandina Beach at Yulee. You might notice we got a few good local rivalries in this one. Clay at Middleburg in week 7, a Clay County battle. Then another Gateway battle, Riverside at Andrew Jackson, one of the surprise teams from a year ago. Then Parker heads to University Christian in week number 9, followed by a St. Johns County clash, Ponte Vedra at Nice. We mentioned Marcus Stokes, the now Gator commit. And then there you have it right there, Bartram Trail at Mandarin to wrap up our game of the week schedule. Of course, these are pending changes. You never know what's going to happen as the year rolls on, but this is a solid look right here at our game of the week schedule. It wasn't easy. It took a lot of time to put this thing together, but we have represented our area well, and we will be making it out to so many good games. And if your game's not on here, look, we get to tons of games every single week. Just know that we will be bringing you the best coverage once again this upcoming fall. If you've been following along the last few years, well, you certainly know one thing we like to do to kick off the season. That would be to chat with as many coaches and student athletes as we can. Fortunately, Baker Sports holds its annual media day, bringing all the teams together to one place. We'll once again have a live stream coming up during the event with top interviews and discussion on all things high school football this year. That'll be on August 1st from 9:15 to 11:45. I certainly hope you can join us. The first team to hit a practice field at a local high school, it's actually going to be these guys, the Jacksonville Jaguars, holding training camp at Episcopal School of Jacksonville. Well, the new facility is under construction, 15 days away from the Jaguars lighting the candle on training camp 2022.
Let me show you. I know you know. It's all good. One foot in each hole. One foot in each hole.
Welcome home, Cliff Averill. The Clay High School grad has returned for his annual youth football camp following a 2-year hiatus. Super Bowl champ devoting the entire weekend to the community that he holds near and dear to his heart. Averill glad to be back home to show the next generation the game in the best way possible, by example.
It's awesome to come back home, man. 10 years of doing this. Obviously, we had a little hiatus like everybody else with COVID, but we're back. I'm just grateful that I'm able to come out, and then so many kids came out too. A lot of parents were asking about it, so I'm just grateful and thankful to be able to be back in my hometown.
There are so many athletes that do, youth football camps, but you are really hands-on. I mean, you might be sweating more than some of the kids out here, man. Does it sort of take you back to the old days, doing some of these drills on what we now call Cliff's crib?
Yes. I'm not living out here full time, so you forget how hot it is in July. But overall, though, man, I want to show the kids that I can get active too. I'm 36 years old, but hey, at 36, I'm still fluid. But I also want to show them how to do it correctly as well.
10 years in the pros and a Super Bowl title, yet he still sees himself as a kid from Green Cove Springs.
Hey, Juju, let me get.
I got a lot of time. Don't let that time go to waste.
Saying a former Rebold Trojan, Jakob Johnson, the Las Vegas Raiders fullback, returning to the site of his senior year of high school football for his inaugural football camp. Great to see Jakob stopping back in Duval County and giving some words of wisdom to the kiddos.
Action Sports Jax Primetime, Saturday at 10:30 on Fox 30.